Welcome to Mindfuel with me, your host, Tamara. Life gets busy, and oftentimes we find ourselves running on empty and putting our own needs last. Each episode of this podcast will provide you with actionable advice, compassion, and a little tough love to give your mind the fuel it needs to live a full, healthy, and balanced lifestyle. I'm so grateful you've chosen to spend some time with me today. So sit down, relax, and prepare to refuel. Welcome to another episode of Mindfuel. I am very excited because we have a super special guest here with us today. She will be telling us all about morning routines and how one simple change in her daily life has made such a huge impact on her physical and mental health and overall quality of life. Today we have Erin here with us. She is a wife, a mother of two, and an educator of 16 years. She has taught every elementary grade and is currently working as a learning support teacher. Erin has a Bachelor of Arts, a Bachelor of Education, a Master's of Education, and she's also a writer and has become a total expert in morning routines. Hi Erin, welcome to Mindfuel. I'm so excited to have you here today.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invite.
So I was thinking we could just jump right in because I know you have a lot of really great information to share with us and with our listeners here today. So why don't you start off by telling us when you started on this health journey and why? What made you decide to make a change?
Yeah, you bet. So I first started on this journey in a moment, I would say, of deep desperation. The summer it was one summer and it was just winding down, and I was reflecting on it and I realized that I was not a participant in our usual fun lifestyle. So I'll just maybe back up a little bit and say on our weekends we often spend them out of town at different places. So in the winter we're at the mountains at the ski hill, and then in the summer we're at my father-in-law's house at the lake where we do anything and everything behind a boat. But that particular summer I was just in such a funk that I realized I did not participate at all. I felt like I was just not comfortable in my own skin, in my own self, and my confidence was shattered, and it just seemed like my safest place was just to sit and watch the world go by rather than participate and risk failure. So I guess at that point I was half through completing my master's degree and I was working full time, so the burnout was so real and my focus just had not been on my own well-being. It had been on everything but my own health. And so I was in the worst shape of my life, and that was hard. I wasn't able to keep up with my kids. I couldn't have fun with them. It was a low. And so there was one day, August 13th of that summer, and I just decided to Google at-home workout programs. I knew that if I could just get moving, that has got to be something good for something, right? And so I found this online streaming service and signed up for it that day, and I did my first workout right there. So I do have a bit of a background way back before education in health and fitness, and I just knew that the path out of this was to start. Just give it that first day. So this just required me to carve out some time for myself, and I know this is often where a lot of people get hung up because they're busy and they're tired, and how do you find extra time? And for me, I honestly didn't think there was more time. I was working all day and then came home, get the family fed and kids off to bed, and then I'd work again till about midnight on my master's degree. And so I didn't think I had time, but I figured out that if I got up half an hour earlier in the morning, I could do a workout that was half an hour long. So I did. Instead of getting up at 6 a.m., I got up at 5:30. And that change became the first habit installed into my morning routine. I did not set out trying to create a morning routine, but that's what ended up happening.
Wow. Thanks for giving us that background too. That helps us understand like what your daily life looked like, and I think it's amazing that you as an educator, a mom, and doing your master's degree, I am shocked that you even did find the time, because you're right, it really does feel like there is no more time in the day. you said you started to wake up half an hour earlier. So what did it look like in that extra half an hour? What were you doing during that half hour that you were giving yourself every day?
Yeah, well, like I noticed, so I did get up half an hour earlier, and at that point the focus was just do the workout. And so I would walk my tired butt downstairs to the basement and just start the video and do my workout, and that did take up most of that time. And it wasn't long before I realized that I really enjoyed that time. At first it was just, I'm doing it because I need to do something. But I enjoyed that in that half hour, no one else in the house was awake. No one else needed me. There was no assignments. There was no work calling. There was nothing. And so it became so enjoyable. I had that time to myself, and like the immediate changes I noticed was just that change in my mood and my energy. And it ended up lasting throughout the day.
Wow, that's awesome. I can really relate to your story too, because like I also wanted to start some kind of, fitness routine, and I knew that going to the gym just wasn't for me, and I was never comfortable going to the gym, and I also didn't want to I just felt like it was such a burden to have to come home from work and then, change and find something to eat and then drive to the gym. Yeah. It was hard for me to go, and so I never was consistent with that. So I also started at-home workouts, but I started in the evenings because I knew I wasn't a morning person, but I think that's what a lot of people just say before they even give it a shot.
Yes.
And in my head, I was like, there's no way I'll ever get up in the morning to work out. I already have to get up early. There's no way that I would ever get up earlier than I have to. Mm-hmm. And so I was doing evening workouts for a long time, and actually, you were the reason why I switched to mornings.
I love it.
Yeah.
I totally hear that because I think, people try and they think of it as just a workout, but the placement of it in the morning means it directs the rest of your day and the energy for the rest of your day. For me, I was kind of the same as you, where I thought, what is the time that I have? Well, 5:30 was the time that I had. I didn't think about how it would affect my day or the long-term effects of doing it in the morning specifically. I just knew that was the time I had, just like you knew the time you had was in the evening.
Right.
But then those ripple effects start happening, and you're like, oh, this is actually working well.
Yes, and they're huge once you actually take the time to do it. And for me, it was just about weight loss at first, but
me too.
It's completely for a different reason. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But so I know that your morning routine has evolved a lot over time. You've been doing this now for how many years has it been now?
Almost 3 years.
Wow. And so what does it look like now? How has it changed?
Yeah, well, it's funny because as I started feeling the positive energy from my time alone and how it directed my day, I started seeking out different people who knew about morning routines. So I'd come across morning routine gurus and authors on social media or websites, and tons of books. I read and read and read. I just kind of began learning all I could about the benefits of morning routines. And I had already installed that morning routine or that morning workout habit, and I worked out every single day. And so that was the piece that I knew I had. But when I started reading about what else could be in a morning routine, that's when my eyes were opened. I just thought, wow, there's so much more that you could do with not much more time investment. So it started snowballing. So some of the things that I noticed tons of people in the field were speaking about was doing a journal, writing in a journal. So I'd always really enjoyed free writing in a journal, but some days, especially when you're getting up early to do this, your mind isn't ready to free write. And so the biggest thing I noticed was there was guided, directed journals. So some of those things were identifying how you're feeling energy-wise and why, and then writing down what you're going to do to improve your energy, and writing down things you are grateful for that day. Lots of people talk about this gratitude practice, and I find the act of writing it down really solidifies it. And And then prioritizing your day, like writing down what's your top priority. And this one is something that came to me probably my last little bit of my journal routine, was to write an intention or a mantra, and then just spending time in reflective thought. So I know there's a book I'm reading, or I'm reading an author right now. He's got several books. So I'm on one of his books, Robin Sharma, and he gave a really great mantra that has kind of been what I've been saying every morning. And I'll share it if you want, just to give you an example. It goes, I am more than I appear to be. All the world's strength and power rests in me.
Wow.
And so it just kind of gives you like a pep talk first thing in the morning. And when you've already thought about what are your intentions and what are your really big goals, and then you have that powerful mantra behind you, it has done a lot for me in just keeping my energy at the level it needs to be. So, yeah. And so that's a lot that I've talked about in a journal, but it takes almost just as much time to write it as what I just did. It's only a 10-minute practice for me. It's 10 to 15 minutes of going through that. So anyway, so that was a thing. And to do this, I had to get up earlier. So I set my alarm for 5 a.m. instead of 5:30. And as my journaling time and workout times increased, I found I was pressed for time again. And so, as you progress through working out, you've noticed it too, I'm sure. Some of the workouts are longer, but so they'll be 45 minutes instead of 30. And so just fitting that in, and then some days the journaling was going so well and I just wanted to spend more time in that thought and that prayer, and that would take longer. So I thought, no, I can, it wasn't a problem to get up a little bit earlier. Let's set it for 5 a.m. And yeah, the journaling time, workout times increased. Where I am right now is I get up at 4:30 in the morning to do all this. There was another factor in there. The time of my work start time did get bumped earlier. So there was a couple of reasons for that, but I thought, I'm not giving up this time. I'm just getting up earlier because it was so valuable to me at this point. I thought, there's no way I'm giving that up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess like one of the benefits to that intentional journaling was that it set my day up for success, regardless of what time the alarm was going off, because I approached everything with this grateful, winning attitude. And I just knew I was going to win that day. I was going to be grateful for the things I get to do in that day. And it has turned into everything in that morning routine, the workout, the meditation, the journaling. I see it as like armor for the day. It doesn't mean you're not going to have a bad day. It doesn't mean that the days are going to be perfect, but you've got like this extra layer of protection on you that helps you handle it. Right?
I love that. I love that way of thinking about it. Yeah. Because truly, like, before you do it, you don't realize what you're missing out on. You wake up in the morning just to get ready for work and to go work for someone else and take care of someone else. Like, especially with our jobs as educators or anybody who has a job where they're taking care of other people, we really do have to take care of ourselves first to be able to like fill up our cups and then be able to pour into others. And I didn't really realize that until I started this and started moving my routine to the mornings. And I think once you start, you actually want to do it. So getting up, you're like, I can do 10 more minutes, or I can do like wake up 15 more minutes earlier, because it's so beneficial once you see the benefits. And people always ask, like, well, how do you get up? And how do you're like, oh, it's 4:45. Like, do you want to get up every morning? How do you not, press snooze? And, like, for me, it's just that now I've become motivated to wake up in the morning. Do you feel the same way?
I do. It's so funny because it's like, this is my party hour. Like, this is my time for me. It's the thing I look forward to most in the day. And yeah, I totally get it. I understand, because and it doesn't mean that I'm all the time ready to open my eyes at 4:30 in the morning, but when the alarm goes off, like, there's been a few tricks that I've kind of added in to help me with that. Like, for the alarm, I use a cell phone for an alarm clock, and I think lots of people do now. And on a cell phone alarm, you can name what the alarm is. And so on mine, that 4:30 alarm is called "You Got This."
Right.
So,
yeah.
So I look at my phone to turn it off, and it says "You got this." I'm like, well, geez, my phone's telling me I got this. I gotta go. So I mean that helped, and then I actually started really, as my workouts progressed, I would, add to the home gym, and I need to get different things. But then as my routine progressed, I'd also add to the walls of the gym actually. So there's different things I keep up on the walls to help me stay motivated, and like some of them are. Like there's a chalkboard down there that I write whatever's on my mind for that time. But there's one quote that has been on there, I think, for almost 3 years. And it says, "I get to move today." Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's so many people with physical disabilities or other reasons that they just can't. Like it's not even an option for them. Mm-hmm. And, I'm blessed. Somehow, like I'm one of the ones that gets to move. And right. To not take advantage of that seems silly.
Yes.
It seems like not a good reason.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
Yeah, I know that there's lots of different quotes I put up, a vision board, things like that. And I mean, we're at the point now where my husband, who's like, was the king of the snooze button, mm-hmm. He has an alarm that goes off at 4:30 now. Wow. And he gets up and he actually does his kind of intentional like alone time upstairs, and then at 5 o'clock he comes downstairs and we do a workout together. So I never thought I'd see the day where he'd put that snooze away. But it's like when you experienced the morning mm-hmm. and what it does for your whole day, it's transformational. I don't know another word for it, but yeah.
I totally agree. It really is. And so you kind of mentioned how you're starting to impact the people in your life too. And so let's get into the benefits a little bit. So how do you feel that like having this more extensive morning routine now with the journaling and the time for you, the personal development and the working out, how do you think it's impacted your life?
Yeah, so many ways. And, when I was thinking about this, I just kind of, I thought for a minute, and then, like, you should see my page right now. There's so many points because it just all kept coming. But anyway, so it started out as a weight loss journey, mm-hmm. but it completely transformed my life. And actually, it is transforming the path that my life is taking now. So I find I'm dreaming again, and I'm setting big goals. And I'm having fun again, like so much fun. I'm taking more risks when it comes to like my family trying to teach me to ski, which is just a terrible battle. But like, I'm not as afraid to take those risks. Mm-hmm. They're still scary, but when I do that, I have fun.
Right.
Or a couple, last summer, 2 summers ago, my 7-year-old daughter, she loved kneeboarding, mm-hmm. and she really wanted to teach me how to do it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Why would I do that? That seems, but I thought, no, let's jump in. And it was so fun. And just that time shared with her, and she got to teach me something, and I did something new. We were laughing our heads off the whole time. So, I mean, just having fun again. So I'm enjoying life, and I mean, being more comfortable with who I am. I find I'm expressing myself better. Mm-hmm. I'm not as concerned with what others think of me, and I'm just hyper aware of my deepest values, and that comes from that intentional piece in the morning where I'm thinking about my values. So every decision I make throughout the day hopefully reflects those values.
Right, and because if you don't give yourself time to do those things, mm-hmm. then we're never really sitting down and thinking about those things that are important to us.
Yeah.
Right? Our values and like who we are, and being able to dream and set goals for ourselves. Like you don't do that. You don't just randomly do that throughout the day unless you intentionally set time for it.
Totally. That's what I found.
Yeah.
So I found like that piece also helped. I just feel like I'm on a path to alignment, where I'm aligned with my values. The things I do and say line up with my core values and my dreams. I think I've mentioned Robin Sharma once before, and he's a guru of this field. He's written a lot about morning routines, and he talks about this integrity gap. And, when you're living out of alignment with who you truly are, you have this integrity gap, and you're betraying yourself really. You're not being true to yourself. So that's become more evident. And so yeah, like, I mean, there's the obvious benefits of weight loss, better nutrition, higher energy, and I have a more positive outlook on life, and those are all awesome. But my productivity has increased. This is a big one in the business world. As I read about morning routines, a lot of the people that have unlocked this magical hour in the morning are actually quite successful businessmen and women. And the productivity is a big piece. So I noticed that what used to take me 8 hours to do, I can do in about 4 to 5.
Wow.
It's just, you're focused. You've already had the start on your day, and you can run through all these tasks, and you're done. So, yeah, after about a year after I started my morning routine, I would say I went through a very trying time in my career. And so I just knew, and especially in hindsight, I know that the morning routine is what saved me. Even though I felt like I was hanging on by threads at times, I think it would have totally broken me if I didn't have that. And I kept coming back to the values, and it helped me make some big decisions that were sometimes difficult to make, but if I knew they were in alignment with who I was, and I had to make those decisions. So yeah, tons of benefits. It's like snowballed.
Wow. Wow. I think that is so cool, because we were saying earlier how it is beyond just weight loss.
Yeah.
And it really is. Like, I've seen so many benefits in my own life too, and things that I never did before. Like, for example, just like personal development. I never would have time to sit down and like read a book that will better me as a person, or even journaling too, and like just taking 3 minutes to write down 5 things you're grateful for every morning. It doesn't take a lot of time.
No.
But if you don't take the time to write it down or to even think about it, then you're not going to recognize those things and how important they are to you in your life. I feel.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and like for me, I have actually really started to like audiobooks. And so instead of getting up earlier, I get up, I do like a little bit of journaling, and then I do my workout, shower, and then while I'm getting ready, I have an audiobook on.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I just like sneak it in while I can, or I found a lot of really good podcasts too. And I never thought that I would like these things before. You know,
I always thought that type of thing would put me to sleep.
Yes.
And I'm like you, I snuck it into my morning drive to work, and sometimes evening drive back home. And yeah, you find these podcasts, sometimes audiobooks, and gosh, some of my best thinking happens then.
I agree. It's crazy what you can learn about yourself, and like what you can do to better yourself just by listening to some personal development.
And sometimes you hear the same message over and over, and that's okay, because it just means you're absorbing it a bit more. Like I've listened to a few mindset podcasts where the message might be similar, but I'm not bored. I think, oh yeah, that's a great reminder.
Yes.
Because if an affirmation said multiple times throughout the day is more powerful than just saying it once, which we know it is, why wouldn't it be the same for anything else, right?
Yes.
So,
I agree.
Yeah, that's cool. I love that. That's a great time to fit it in.
Yeah. And then sometimes it just keeps going until I'm in the car, and I keep it on until I get right to work. And then also I really agree with like the productivity part of it, because before, when I would wake up just to go to work, I felt still tired by the time I got to work, because I was really only getting up like an hour and a half before I had to leave. Yeah. And so I was like groggy and tired and like low energy. And now I feel like when I get to work, I've already been awake for like 3-4 hours. And I've worked out. Like my energy levels are high. I'm feeling like in a much happier mood. I'm excited to go to work. And it makes me all around just a better person to be around. A better teacher, a better coworker, better friend. It really is so transformational, like you said.
Yeah, it makes me think of this thing I heard, and I wish I could credit who said it, but he said something along the lines of like, if you're always putting yourself last, the people around you get you at your worst.
Yes.
And lots of times people think, well, I don't have time for this because I need to take care of person A, person B, need to take care of the job. I need to put everyone else first before I can get to me. But it's actually, it's selfless to put yourself first. Mm-hmm. Because then you have all this energy, all this greatness to share with the people around you.
Yeah.
Where otherwise you're getting tired, cranky you, right?
Totally. I love that quote. I think it's so, so true. Okay, so what would you suggest to a listener who has never done this before, kind of like me, you know, when I first wanted to get started and you were telling me all about it and I was like, there's no way I could ever get up early. What would you tell somebody who wants to start?
I think, like, baby steps. You have to do what's manageable. Like, just 30 minutes earlier. Mm-hmm. Get the 30 minutes in. That's it. For some people, it may not even be that big of a chunk of time. It might be just get up 15 minutes earlier so that you have time to sit in peace and drink a coffee by yourself before anyone bugs you. Right? That could be enough. Yeah. A little bit of time and thought. Like, I just think baby steps. So I think you'll feel the benefits immediately and find you, like you said, you look forward to it, and then it's not difficult to find time and to make it happen. And I think, like, another piece of advice would be just to surround yourself with inspiration. I think you need to seek out others who have installed some or all of these habits, whether it's virtually, lots of people out there in the Instagram world that are promoting it, lots of podcasts, mm-hmm. but then even as you start to explore the people in your own circle, you might find someone who kind of gets it. And I know when you and I get together, we love to talk about it. And yeah. I think anyone who's kind of found that, they love to talk about it. So if you have someone that you can talk to about it, that really pumps me up mm-hmm. and gets me excited. And I think you need to spend time identifying your why and write it down and stick it to your wall. Yes. And I'll admit, my why when I started is totally not my why now. Mm-hmm. But that's okay. My why got me started. My why when I started was to lose weight. Yeah. And now it's to be a better person. Mm-hmm. So it has changed, but you need a why. Yes. Somewhere. Yeah. And then I also surround myself with inspirational quotes and sayings. So like I kind of talked a little bit about that, but if you have a big goal, if you have a big dream, if there's a saying that really speaks to you, like, I get to move today, mm-hmm. write it down on the nearest piece of paper you can find and stick it to your wall. Put it where you will see it all the time. Put a reminder in your phone where it flashes up a few times a day. I don't know. Find a way to, like, get those in your mind. And I do think it's important, just with a warning, to don't listen to the haters. There's going to be morning haters. It's because they don't know the magic yet.
That's so true.
And so, like, if you they're going to think you're crazy. Yeah. They're going to say, how the heck are you doing this? And that's just about them. That's not about you. Mm-hmm. You are doing it. So just focus on you and your why again. So I just think, like, the majority of people do not get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to journal, meditate, and work out. No. But I guess my question would be, do you want to be in the majority? Because, like, the majority, they hit the snooze button, they arrive to work sleepy-eyed, like we talked about. Mm-hmm. They may carry a storm cloud over their head. They may not be able to handle the transitions and unexpected things that might come up in a day. And I don't know. That doesn't seem like the place I want to be. I'd rather be in the minority. The minority, they don't make excuses, they rise to their highest potential, they kickstart their day with that power that's produced in the morning routine. So, I don't know, just really focusing on your end goals will keep you going.
Right, I love that. And also, like, don't, I feel like you have to give it a chance mm-hmm. before you say, like, I can't do that. Because that's what I thought, and I didn't think I could. And then when I just tried it, and like you said, even if you just get up 15 minutes earlier, and then you will become motivated by it, because you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I loved that. Like, I loved having peace and quiet in the morning. I loved having a little bit of extra time to drink my coffee, and you'll add on to it naturally, because it's addicting once you start.
Yeah. Well, and, like, our brains, like, we're educators, we know a little bit about what happens with learning, and I mean, our brains have neuroplasticity. They transform based on what they're given.
Right.
And I guess that really, your brain will get there.
Mm-hmm.
You will get there, and your mind is powerful.
Yeah.
And I know I started wearing a Fitbit
Yeah.
a couple years ago, and it records your sleep and when you naturally first wake up, and or unnaturally, whenever you wake up, right?
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I had set my alarm for 4:30 and been doing that for months, and I noticed a little trend. I got the Fitbit report emailed to me, and it said I was naturally waking up at 4:28 every day, and my alarm does not go till 4:30.
That's interesting.
I didn't know that because I heard the alarm and I had to shut the alarm off. But like, your brain will get there, your body will get there. It's not going to be hard forever, but it does take consistency to make it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I totally agree. Okay, so now that you have totally mastered this routine, what are your next steps?
Yeah, it's funny because I think, this routine is pretty installed, but it's funny because it's always transforming. There's always a new thing. There's always, now I want to add this, and now I want to do that. But, so my next steps, like, I've published a journal with those steps in it that I'm very excited about. So that was something that I was really passionate to get out and available to people. So there's that, and I'm about to launch my website. Something like my journal will be on there, but other tips and tricks and various things, because I'm exploring a podcast of my own and doing online courses to help people learn these routines. So, and I'm writing a book about it. So I think there's just a lot. When I say my path in life changed, it's like, it's an incredible change. I don't know what all the next steps are, and I don't know where it will end up.
Right.
But as long as I'm following it, it seems that things are falling into place. So, yeah.
Wow, that sounds so cool. I think it's amazing that, like, do you think if you never started this morning routine, do you think you wouldn't even be saying that those were your goals right now? Or things that you already started doing them? I
think the biggest thing, I don't think I ever would have believed I could.
Right.
Like, it's that confidence piece in knowing that you can dream big and go nail it. Mm-hmm. Like, that becomes real in the morning routine time. It's like, with every workout that you lift heavier, with every intention that you write down that actually comes true. Like, there's a workshop I'm presenting at in a couple weeks, and it's funny because when I got approached to present at this workshop, and it's on morning routines, and I got approached, and I thought, this is so like falling into place, because I looked back in my journal, and on September 30th, when did I get asked what month? I got asked in like January to do this.
Okay.
But the previous September, I had written down in my journal that I believe this is leading to wellness retreats and speaking about it in a public way.
Wow.
And I had to take a picture of it and send it to the girl that actually invited me to this workshop, because I didn't even know she existed in this way. I did not know about her wellness center. I had kind of known that she was into yoga, but like, that was it. And I thought, okay, that's weird.
Yes.
In a good way. Like, I have goosebumps thinking about it, because it was just that this actually happened. Like, I didn't know what I was picturing in my head, but that was about as close as you can get.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, that wouldn't have happened if I didn't take that time, like you said, to revisit those things in the morning. And what are your values? What do you want to do? What are your big goals?
Yeah.
And then take some steps towards them and see what happens. I think the universe just opens up.
Yeah.
Says, okay, you're ready. Here we go. Hang on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so cool. That gave me goosebumps just listening to that story. Well, I am so excited to, look at your website and even check out your journal too. And of course for your book that you're working on. I'm really excited for that. I know it's going to be amazing.
Big one. That's a big goal.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And yeah, I thank you so much for sharing all of this knowledge with us today and your experiences. I know that it's going to be so helpful to someone who's listening today, and hopefully they can experience the magic of the morning routines themselves.
There's no better word.
So thank you so much for coming today, Erin. It was great to have you.
Yes, thank you for having me. It was great.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mindfuel. I hope this episode allowed you to spend some time focusing on you. If you know someone who needs to hear this or would love this podcast, please share it with them or post it onto your story. I want to leave you with one of my favorite quotes by Katie Reed. Self-care is giving the world the best of you instead of what's left of you.